Reece Many here, CEO of Hunter Jones. I'm here with Paul Rothwell from Empire Property Concept. Paul, thanks for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
For our investors that know Paul successfully raised and paid back criteria of about 36 million to our investors through a loan note. Paul's come down today to discuss the benefits, the advantages, and the problems that he's occurred throughout the loan note. Just for our investors that don't know who you are and what you've done, how did you get started in the property market?
Okay, so I started about 15 years ago when I was a student. Bought a student house, rented the rooms out to my friends, and then bought another house after that, and then another one, and went on from converting Victorian terrace houses into pub conversions, then into permitted development, converting office buildings into apartments, and then more recently we're looking at new build opportunities, and that's the last 15 years condensed into a nutshell.
Fair enough. So your background, you've always been in the property market? From when you was at
pretty much, yeah. So I was just, from being a student, I just had an accounts job, working as an accounts administrator, but that was for a year and a half, and then I just went full time into property. So lived it and breathed it.
Impressive. I mean, built a portfolio up of around 100 million now. What was the key to that? What do you think streamlined you to get to such great figure?
The key was just getting started initially, and then obviously over the years we've engaged with a number of finance providers, yourself being one of them. Obviously we myself and Rick opened the loan note opportunity with you in Empire Property Holdings, and we raised a significant amount over the 3 to 4 years we were involved. It was almost a perfect storm when we engaged with you, because we were able to capitalise on the permitted development opportunities and have the funding source that the loan notes brought. So we were able to raise, like you say, 36-ish million over the 3 years, and use that to capitalise on the opportunities that were available. Just
talking about the loan notes, what's the benefit in a developer using a loan note compared to using traditional banking finance out there? Because a lot of investors ask, you can go to the bank and get cheaper finance, they think. I understand why, but for people that are watching this, what's the real benefit for a developer to use a loan note?
I suppose that the benefit for us when we were doing it was that we were kind of running into lending limits with the high street banks and just your normal lenders. The beauty of the loan notes was that it was effectively 100% financing, which is hard, if not impossible, to come by. So it allowed us to do projects where we probably wouldn't ordinarily have been able to get the funding to do it.
I suppose there's only a certain amount of 30% any developer can put into any deal.
Of course, of course. So you kind of run out of your deposits as well. You stretch your pot as far as it would go.
Would you say that having multiple opportunities running at the same time, because developers that I've spoke to, and obviously when we first started the loan note with you, when we spoke about it in the first instance, it was 30% in one asset, 30% in another. There's only a certain amount of 30%, but it's also the amount of red tape you have to jump through for a mainstream lender to lend you the funds. You can't really have 3 or 4 running at the same time.
Some lenders will not want you to do more than 1 or 2, but then you have to go to another lender, then you have to go through their process to do it. And then another lender if the other 2 won't do the next deal that you're trying to find or that you're trying to fund. Having one source of funding was quite beneficial in reducing the amount of work and different conditions that we had to satisfy.
So obviously that's the benefits of the loan note. As a property developer growing as quick as you have, what problems have you come up with, and not just in the loan note, but in general? What problems do you come across as a developer?
So main problems, I guess, at the rate that we have grown was the expanding of the team, really. We never really had any problem finding opportunities, and that was the reason really why we wanted to grow as fast as we did, because the opportunity was there, kind of here and now. So we wanted to capitalise on it. It's great. I'd say the most difficult thing is building a reliable team at the pace that we needed to do it.
And that's tough.
I think that's probably one of the hardest things of any business,
Yes,
in my opinion.
No, I agree. Okay, well, that's good. I mean, so obviously since Empire paid back the loan note, we've had a lot of investors that wanted to continue to invest into loan notes similar to Empire because it was such a success story for everybody. We've started HJ Collection, and obviously we've appointed Empire Property Concepts as our developer.
Yeah.
But a lot of our investors have been asking, what are they actually doing for us? People understand that myself, I'm a specialist in raising finance.
Yeah.
I'm not a specialist in development. That's not my bag. So when we first spoke about it and I said that I wanted to start HJC, I spoke to yourself and, we've got the option to team up with various different developers if we want to.
Yeah.
Because it was so successful and we had such a good relationship through Empire, I thought it'd be good to work with yourself. So could you just explain to our listeners and people watching this really what you're doing for us and how you're helping us?
Yeah, so we're just providing the appraisal and development
Correct.
facilities just like we would for any other client, like we always have done and continue to do so. So obviously you're well aware, you find the properties which we appraise and let you know if it's a good idea or a bad idea. And then we just provide the development facilities just like we would for ourselves. There's only one way to do it, and that's how we do it across the whole organisation. So we're happy to provide those services for you, on a contracted basis, which works for us and works for you.
Yeah, which is good for our investors that have put money into Empire because they know that your developments work. Completely different. This loan note is owned by us and it's not owned by Empire. But you're doing the developments, and the developments that we are doing that we find access to are going through the same appraisal as what you put all of your stuff through, right?
Exactly the same, really, yeah.
So just a question for yourself on permitted development rights as a whole. I think it's a fantastic thing that was implemented. What's your take on it? I know that it's helped you streamline your business. What's the benefits and the advantages?
Well, the main benefit of the permitted development right means that you can convert the property without having to go through the full planning process, which speeds things up. Which means that you can kind of buy a property and remove the planning risk when you bought it, because you don't have to have the permitted development right when you've actually bought it, as long as it fits certain criteria and you've checked it out with your planning consultant. You know that it's going to get it. So it allows you the confidence to buy a property, speed to market, I suppose you could call it. And so over a building that doesn't have permitted development rights, where you would have to go and get planning permission, which can take 3, 6, 9 months, depending on the
Where
local
you are,
authority.
Would you say it eliminates the risk for investors working with a developer that works with
It eliminates the planning risk. It means that you've got a site that can and will be developed, as long as you've got the right skill set. Planning permission, sometimes it can take forever. Sometimes you don't get it, and then you're stuck with a building that you can't.
It's worth a lot if you get it, and not worth nothing.
That you can't convert. So it's having the permitted development right means that you've kind of overcome that risk. Which has been massive for Empire's growth and our success in what we did with the loan notes, because we were able to buy properties quickly in safe in the knowledge that we knew if it didn't have permitted development already, then we knew we could get it through
straight away.
Yeah, exactly.
How quick does it take you to complete now a conversion? So you buy today with permitted development rights. I know that each development's different depending on size.
Absolutely, yeah.
But just a rough ballpoint figure, time frame?
Ranging from 9 to 18 months, depending on the size of the building, the complexity of it. Push it if it's really complex, like some of the listed buildings and the old mill conversion we did. It takes a little bit longer. But your standard office blocks, you should be looking within that region, and hopefully less if you can really push it on. But you never like to commit to to that kind of time scale.
And obviously your portfolio's grown, and as you've grown as a developer, when we first met 3-4 years ago, you was doing smaller developments, and you've now got larger developments that you're doing. Now you've built your team, do you think that you've overcome or you've dealt with the majority of problems that you foresee in PD? Would you say that you're comfortable with most permitted development conversions out there now?
Yeah, I'd say we're comfortable with any permitted development project that's within a certain radius, I guess. Yeah. We obviously start pushing out to the southern part of the country, and then your resources start getting stretched. But anything, I mean, we're operating as far down as the West Midlands now, and looking at stuff in Essex, but and as far north as Sunderland and Darlington. But any further than that, and you think you kind of would be stretching ourselves too much. Yeah. But over the since 2013, since we started doing permitted development, we've been on a learning curve like any developer and any company would be. So we've grown into the role, if you like, and we know a lot more now than we did when we started.
So you'd say you've mastered it now?
I'd never say we've mastered it. I don't,
no, it's tough, but you've overcome the majority of.
Yeah, I'd class ourselves as reasonably competent, and we kind of on par with any other PD developer possibly. But it's not a case of it's just a case of getting the job done, I guess.
Yeah, and what's next for Empire? What's your obviously long-term vision? We've sat here before. There's only a certain amount of PD schemes out there.
Yeah, so the future for us, we feel, is moving into new build. Okay. And I know we've discussed it previously. We're looking to embrace modern methods of construction, specifically ICF, through a company called Uniblock, which we've discussed before. And we're going to be putting our first Uniblock project in the ground end of this year. Okay. And then the general idea is to continue with the permitted development, which is our bread and butter, and a service that we can provide to external parties like yourself, but then look to transition possibly our business into the ICF construction, building apartments, building houses for resale, that kind of thing.
And you're saying that your first one end of this year?
End of this year will be our first test
pilot project. When will that be completed?
Middle of next year.
All right, so thanks, Paul, for coming down today. I know you've travelled quite far to come down. It's been a pleasure having you on. For our viewers, thanks for watching. We've got some good things happening, and we'll catch up soon.